Hello kids, it is me again, back with another video. I asked and you all answered whether or not I should make a video about my experiences getting vaccinated against COVID. Now, a couple of disclaimers before I start. Number one, firstly and foremostly, if I see any kind of vaccination misinformation, anti-vax BS in the comment section of this video, I'm going to do a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to screenshot your comment and then publicly humiliate you on Twitter for being such an idiot. And number two, I'm just going to delete your comment. So there's really no point to doing that. Number two, my experience with the vaccination will not be your experience with the vaccination. You will probably experience something completely different, especially if you don't get the same kind of vaccine that I did. So don't take this as this is definitely going to happen to you, because it probably isn't definitely going to happen to you, because you and I are physiologically very different. So, without much delay, let's just get into it. For starters, I live in the state of Alabama, and the way that Alabama and a bunch of other states are doing is that they're doing a kind of tiered rollout, which means they're going for, the most vulnerable populations to the least vulnerable populations to get everyone who should be vaccinated first. However, I don't know if they're actually doing that, because here's the thing. I don't really have any major, diseases or anything that would make me especially susceptible to getting and dying from COVID, but I was still able to get the vaccine, so I think they weren't really adhering to those guidelines. I think they were just being like, hey, if you want to get the vaccine, just fill out the paperwork, go to the vaccination site, and you'll get a vaccine, which is good and I don't know at the same time, because when I first heard that they were giving out vaccines to other people, to anyone, my mom told me that a person that she knew and her daughter, who I went to high school with, so we're about the same age, and she's relatively healthy as well, went and got the vaccine no problem the previous day. And so she's like, hey, we should get this vaccine too. And on the one hand I was like, but what about all the old sick people, And on the other hand I was like, if I don't get it now, I probably won't be able to get it until July, August, a while from now. So I thought, I think maybe I should prioritize my own health and go and get it, because if they're not turning people around, then there's no deception involved. I'm not lying and saying that I'm 65 and have 2 hip replacements or whatever. So, if they're not turning folks around, then I don't see the point in not going. So eventually we went. This was last month. The type of vaccine that we got was the Moderna vaccine, which is 2 doses. You get 1 dose, come back the next month, you get another dose, bing, bang, boom. You're not quite done, you still have to wait a couple of weeks to be fully in the clear, but then that's it. February, we go, we get the shot, we roll up to the place. We get there pretty early, I would say. I think it was about 9-ish in the morning, and we get in and out pretty quickly. They were moving those lines along. So we get there, we get the shot. The shot, of course, hurts because, getting poked with a needle hurts. So, that was pretty much to be expected. But other than that, there's nothing quite weird about it. Oh, and as far as the paperwork for going to get the shot goes, it's very basic, paperwork. If you ever had to, do, intake forms at, urgent care or something like that, it's basically, your name, your address, your social security number, your insurance information. That was basically it. Nothing, you didn't have to say oh, here's my medical history, here's all of that, I did have to put my date of birth on there, and it said, I was born in 1999 and I'm therefore 21 years old, but that didn't stop them. Got the first shot, go home, things are fine. I didn't really know what to expect. I knew the shot was going to hurt because, again, it's a needle, but I didn't expect my entire shoulder area to hurt, because they gave me the shot in the right arm, which was a mistake. I should have had them give it to me in the left arm, but I was sitting on the passenger side of my mom's car, so they just went up and boop, there you go, goodbye. Yeah, my right arm, which is, my dominant arm, was hurting for, it started hurting around the end of the day, And I think I can remember too, I was sitting at my desk drawing and I was reaching for something. I was like, why does my arm hurt? That's weird. And I asked my mom about it and she said, yeah, my arm hurts too. So I think that's a pretty common side effect of the Moderna vaccine, is that your arm is gonna hurt a little bit. Mine was pretty sore. It's more of a sore hurt, like a muscular hurt, if that makes sense. Like I lifted something really heavy and now I'm like sore, I guess. That's what it felt like. It wasn't all of that bad. I mean, it was pretty bad. I legit could not lift my arm above my head. I could maybe go to like right here until it got like too much. So I would say it's pretty bad. And I couldn't sleep on my right side for like at all. So, and that lasted, I would say 2 to 2.5 days, and then it was over. And those are all the side effects that I got for the first round of the vaccine. My mom, on the other hand, got pretty sick. Like, she got a fever, she got like chills, aches, everything like that. She only told me that she was like a little sick because, I don't know, man. My parents do this thing where they either not tell me things or omit some information, or they make things seem not as bad as they are because they think I have a weak constitution or whatever. And as we are about to learn, I don't have a weak constitution, so I don't know why she didn't just tell me, oh yeah, I feel really terrible. Apparently she was feeling pretty terrible, but that only lasted about a day. And then she was right as rain like the next day. The first day after the Moderna vaccine, not good for her, just kind of uncomfortable for me in the next couple of days. And so, I mean, after that, it was normal. And then a month passes. Let's see, this Wednesday, the 10th, we went to get our second dose of the vaccine. We roll up to the same place. This time, even earlier, we go at like 8 in the morning, and the place is already packed. I guess when we got there, they didn't really start vaccinating people yet. They were just like, preparing to do it, and collecting forms and everything like that. And there were several lines of cars. But once they got it going, they got them through pretty quickly, I would say. And it took us about an hour to get actually like vaccinated. Strangely enough, this time around, the shot didn't hurt. Like the needle going in, it like didn't hurt at all. I have no idea why. I don't know, maybe my shoulder is still like wonky from the last time. That's why it happened that way. Listen, I don't know. This time around though, it didn't take very long for my shoulder to get like sore. I would say when we got home, like I could definitely feel my shoulder being a little weird. But I mean, it was fine. I experienced this before. It was normal. So I proceeded with my day on the 10th as normal until I went to bed that night. I swear, as soon as I laid down, as soon as I made myself horizontal, a fever just started out of nowhere. Like, I didn't feel it while I was like moving out and about in my house. Like, it was as soon as I laid down, I like started shivering and I got like cold and hot and sweaty and weird. You know when you have a fever, that kind of thing. And it was like kind of sudden. I'm like, oh, I have a fever. That's weird. And I thought it would only last for like the night, maybe, but that's not what ended up happening. And oh boy, what ended up happening certainly was something. So about last time, the only thing we really did was take, I can't remember if it was before or after, but we took some Advil, I guess, is like pain reliever for it. My mom took 2, I only took 1 because I don't really like taking pills like that. It was like regular Advil, I think maybe 200 milligrams, 250, very basic. It only took 1, and it didn't really stop my arm from hurting, but again, literally only took 1. This time around though, we were taking Tylenol, not just any Tylenol, but like maximum strength, 500 milligram per pill Tylenol around the clock, like every 6 hours. And we started that after we got the shot. 1,000 milligrams every 6 hours, which is a whole lot. And let me tell you, it did absolutely nothing for my fever because I was taking it before my fever started, and then the next day when the fever was like in full effect, still taking it, nothing happened. I was on the phone with my dad yesterday and I was like, "Oh, you took Tylenol? You weren't supposed to take Tylenol." I'm like, "Wow, Dad, gee, thanks for telling me that now. It would have been helpful to know a day ago." Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? Could it have worsened it? I really don't know. I don't know where my mom gets her information from. Honestly, I've had fevers before in the past, like most people have. And I don't think I've ever had a fever that lasted this long and that was this intense, you know. It was really weird because I was laying down, you know. Of course you get the shivers, right? That's normal. You know, my teeth were like chattering even though I didn't feel cold. I felt normal because I was like under my blankets and stuff. But I was still like shivering. My lower back started hurting from it and my neck hurt from it too, which is odd. I don't normally get lower back pain or neck pain when I'm laying in bed, so that's definitely not normal. I was alternating between getting like really hot and being really cold, but also still like sweating a whole lot the entire time, no matter if I was hot or cold. And that lasted until the morning. And oh, it was so bad. I could only sleep for like, I don't know, maybe 1.5 hour increments at a time before I would like wake up and just like kind of toss and turn around. Sleeping with a fever is not the most comfortable experience. Surprise, surprise. I woke up in the morning expecting it to have gone away, but it didn't. For reference, I took 2 Tylenol at like 10:30. I got in bed at 8:30, if you'll remember. And I took 2 more at 4:30 because, of course, you have to take it around the clock. That means taking it at 4 a.m. I had that much Tylenol in that time frame. It did nothing to help my fever. Of course, I was taking my temperature throughout this. I don't know what my temperature was at the highest because me and my mom eventually found out that the thermometer we were using was not working anymore. Because I think at one point my temperature was up to like 102, but I think at 102 things started to get like kind of wacky, but I was feeling fine. I wasn't like delirious or like out of it or anything. I was just like feverish and uncomfortable, not like, ugh, you know. We ended up getting another thermometer, and if I had to guess, I'd say my temperature hovered from around the 99 to like 100 mark, which, you know, still not good. Not 102. Throughout the day, it was really bad. I mean, you know, I like the fact that nothing was expected of me that day. You know, I was too sick to do anything. I could just chill. Of course, I wasn't really at a comfort level where I could, like, I don't know, work on stuff or play video games. I could only really just lay on the couch or lay in my bed and watch YouTube videos uncomfortably for hours. So it wasn't all that great. I had no appetite that day, so, you know, I was taking pills on an empty stomach, which led to what happened later, which was the worst indigestion I have ever had in my life. I've had indigestion before, but it was usually really mild, and I could usually, like, fix it by, like, you know, taking a Tums or doing the whole baking soda thing, which my mom does. My mom's really old-fashioned, for better or worse. So I got the most searing pain, like right in the, well, you can't see it, but like right in the middle of my chest, like right behind my sternum. I'm not gonna lie, I for a second thought I was having a heart attack. I don't know why. I don't even know if heart attacks like manifest like that in women. You hear a heart attack, it's like, ah, my chest, that kind of thing. But I wasn't having a heart attack. It was indigestion because I was taking 2 Tylenol every, 6 hours and not eating anything because I had no appetite. I mean, my mom cooked that day and I only ate a little bit of it because, I mean, I didn't want to eat anything at all. Like, my appetite was just gone. So, you know, I kept taking pills on an empty stomach, and it was like, eventually it took its toll in the worst indigestion I've ever had. Like, I was traipsing around the house, just like heaving for air, just in the worst pain I have ever been in. Like, I don't get period cramps because I'm just lucky, I guess, but I guess that's what some people feel like when they're on their period, just not in their chest, just in a different area, you know. God, it was awful. It was so bad. I felt horrible. And the only thing that could help, my mom didn't have any Tums. I could not drive myself anywhere because I was in no state to do so, and mom told me, baking soda. So I took like, not quite a handful, but a good amount of baking soda in my hand. I did that. It didn't quite work. She told me, drink some ginger ale. That made it worse, so don't do that. I mean, eventually the only thing that ended up helping was just vomiting. That's the only thing that stopped my indigestion, which it's not a pleasant feeling having to vom, but it worked, and my indigestion ended, so that's that. I mean, the rest of the day I just ended up feeling terrible, but luckily finally, my fever ended up breaking at around 6 that afternoon, and I finally felt normal. You know, I could finally like wash the night of sweating off of me, and I made a sandwich too because at that point my appetite had finally come back, but I still couldn't really eat that much. Well, okay, I'm kind of lying. I did eat a little bit during my whole fever. I felt like the only thing I could stomach during that time was like fruit cups, you know, little cups of fruit, duh. We had those little tropical ones, you know, the ones with the papaya and the pineapple in them. I love those. I love those so much. I was really only able to eat those and not much else. I guess because it was sweet and not dry. Also, don't tell my mom or nothing, but I don't think I was drinking enough water during this time either, because like my mouth was just dry. She told me to eat crackers and I just could not stomach the thought of eating dry crackers. Like I didn't like that at all. Not even Ritz, no, not even the good ones. Couldn't fathom doing that. The only thing I really wanted to eat was fruit cups, because they had, you know, a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of moisture to them, because, you know, they're in the juice. Probably could have benefited from a Gatorade or two at that time, but did not have any. Guess what? I have some now. Lemon lime Gatorade gang. Yes. Too little too late. I'm not sick anymore, so it's like, what's the point? But anyways, get around 6, I felt normal again. Was finally able to go to sleep. My temperature had returned to normal, and things were all right. And this time around, you know, my mom felt fine. I guess the effects of getting vaccinated were like switched for us. It was weird. It's been, what's today? Today is the 13th, so it's been about 3 days since then. My arm doesn't hurt anymore. I can lift it just fine. I mean, there's some like residual soreness, but it's not bothering me really at all. The only thing that is bothering me is how itchy my arm is. Like, I'm not gonna show you, but there's like, it's kind of red and like raised, almost like, not quite like a mosquito bite, but maybe a mosquito bite, but like larger, you know? I don't know if that's accurate, but it itches a lot too. I don't know why. And it's not where I was injected either, because like I can tell like where they put the needle in, and it's about, I would say, 1 inch to 1.5 inches below that is where like this kind of, the only thing I could describe it as is a rash. I mean, it's just like, it's itchy and red and kind of warm to the touch too. That happened last time as well, the first time I should say I got vaccinated. That really wasn't all that terrible to experience, and it went away in like a couple of days, so not entirely something that I'm worried about. Oh boy, so that was my story, my experience about getting vaccinated. I got the Moderna vaccine, once again, 2 doses. Other people in my family have also been vaccinated. Of course, me and my mom went together. My dad got the Pfizer vaccine, and he said that he felt, I can't remember if that's 1 or 2 doses, by the way. No, it's 2 doses, because he told me he got a second dose like a little bit before we did. He said he was feeling a little delirious, but again, my parents think I have a weak constitution, so they're not going to tell me the full story. I mean, he could have fully been in the ER, and I would have never known. So, who knows, honestly. My aunt got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which has just been, like, approved. I'm not entirely sure, like, what her, like, side effects and stuff are, but there's that. My brother, to my knowledge, still has not gotten vaccinated because he's an idiot. That's all I can say. Honestly, you know, the fever, it wasn't really the worst thing in my life that I have experienced, medical-wise. All of that is to say that I'm pretty used to suffering on the regular, you know. If you know what vertigo is, or if you've dealt with it, you know that it kind of sucks. So, apparently I don't have a weak constitution. So, there you go. That's all I have for today. I hope this video was informative. And also, another disclaimer before I leave you all for now. None of this is to discourage anyone from getting vaccinated. Like I said in the beginning, my experience will probably differ from your experience. Again, we are 2 physiologically different people. And if you don't get vaccinated, and you don't have any logical reason to not get vaccinated, you're doing a disservice to your country, and you're selfish. Now, I'm not talking about people who can't afford it for whatever reason, insurance, nothing like that. If you got insurance, if you're not allergic to it, if you're just not doing it because you just don't want to, you're a waste of space. That's all I'm going to say. That's it for me today. It's really early in the morning. It's like 10 o'clock. That's not important. Twitter, donate to my Ko-fi. That's it for me today. More fun videos coming your way soonish.